Yeah.
They have to be able to connect with it. But on the other hand, I don't just want to deliver a list. And I say this to my clients, I'm not giving you a list of what's going to happen. This isn't really how I work. I can give you a list of the cycles, but I want to talk you through them. I want to see how can we get some insight into what's going on for you and how might that help you.
Hello and welcome to the Mind, Body, Spirit Festival podcast. I am your host, Rach Cox, and I am thrilled to be interviewing some of the world's best known experts in spirituality and well-being. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. Debbie Frank, thank you so much for coming onto the Mind, Body, Spirit podcast. It's lovely to see your face.
It's wonderful to be here, Rachel. Very excited about all things to do with this.
Great. Well, I'm going to just announce you and describe you so that everyone here knows exactly how wonderful you are. So Debbie is a renowned astrologer who has been in practice since 1984, a prolific media astrologer since 1994, and she has started writing the horoscope column for She magazine. So you started writing it, sorry. Debbie has also written horoscopes.
That was my first column.
Was it? Amazing. I like the name of that, She magazine. Was. How wonderful.
I know. It was great in its day.
Yeah, well, we need something back a bit like it, to be honest. Debbie has also written horoscopes.
Let's not go there, Rachel.
Sorry. I think there is still a delay on this, Debbie, to be honest.
There is, isn't there?
Yeah, what a bugger. Okay.
Why is that?
It's to do with the connection for sure.
Can we try doing it on Zoom instead?
No, because I don't even have a link for that. It all uploads in a different way.
I am literally right by my router.
Yeah. Do you know what? I'm just going to start the reading of your bio again, and I won't go off topic, and then we'll start and talk, because when we're talking, it's fine.
Okay.
Because we can give each other a little bit of space, but when it's a bit ad lib, it cuts over each other. So I'll start that again if you don't mind, and they can edit this bit out.
Okay.
So Debbie is a renowned astrologer who has been in practice since 1984, a prolific media astrologer since 1994, when she started writing the horoscope column for She magazine. Debbie has also written horoscopes and columns for some of the UK's biggest publications, including the Daily Mail Online, Sunday Express, Hello, Instyle, Sunday Mirror and Daily Mirror. Her media research also includes BBC Two's Steve Wright show, where she was a frequent guest astrologer. She continues to see clients who have been coming to her for over 20 years. Her most famous client was the late Princess Diana, and Debbie became one of her inner circle in 1989 and remained steadfast friends until her death. Debbie is a respected author of Birth Signs, Baby Signs, and What's Your Soul Sign, which is to be republished in July by Hay House, entitled What Are You Here to Become? You've been busy, haven't you, babes?
Yeah, well, it's been over a long period. I think the title is Who You Came Here to Be is the title of the republished book.
Thanks
Who You Came Here to Be.
I'll write that down
July,
so we get that.
Available to pre-order, yeah.
Who You Came Here to Be. I'll write that down so that we edit that on our website. That's what this podcast is about, is keeping our website up to date. Thank you, Debbie.
Glad to be of help. And I'm not even a Virgo.
Excellent. Oh, dear. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself in terms of your background as an astrologer, and how did you discover and develop your knowledge?
I don't really think being an astrologer is part of the sort of Unilever's milk round of interviews, should we say. I never imagined back in the day that was what I was going to do, but I was actually interested in astrology almost as soon as I could read, and someone told me about horoscopes, and I started to look in the back of a children's annual at Christmas or something and figured out what sign I was. And it really piqued my curiosity from very young. And I was fortunate enough to train with some of the greatest teachers in all sorts of different modalities, ranging from, those that were Jungian analysts to those that are incredibly esoteric, shamanic, kind of Rudolf Steiner school. They have quite a wide range of training. And my career as an astrologer, I mean, I started off actually in public relations, PR. So I sort of learned how to write, which was a great thing. And I do love the writing side. And that's why I enjoy writing my books. But I also enjoy writing the columns, and I like tailoring them to the publication they're going to appear in. But most of all, I enjoy seeing clients, because I always feel that they're the real training. It's like, does astrology work in real life? I mean, if it doesn't work in real life, it's not really of that much value. So I would say, and I would love to acknowledge my clients, thousands of them who I've seen over the years, who have taught me the most. They've taught me the lived experience of astrology and how incredibly unique we all are. And people's life stories that I feel so honored to be, there as their confidant, and to work through some of the issues and patterns that they have, to be able to shed some light and to be able to help and hopefully make a difference to their lives. I'm lucky that so many of my clients have chosen to stay with me for many, many years. And that's fascinating in itself, seeing people grow and evolve through all of these transits that I'm looking at as an astrologer, and how they manage them, what they learn from them. So I just find my work fascinating. It's not really work. I don't ever intend to retire. It's literally my passion. I'm continually fascinated by it. And of course, the planets are always moving. So there's always something new that's coming through. So it's endlessly fascinating for me. And yeah, there are also so many parts to it. Like one day someone might be asking me, what's a great day for me to launch my new business? Another person is looking to sort of see whether her child would be best fitted to this kind or that kind of school, because you can see a lot of individual attributes in children, in terms of, where they are best for learning. Do they learn visually? Are they very linear minded? Are they a true creative? And sometimes even as a parent, we miss these things, but looking at the chart, it's kind of spelled out. It's obvious. Yes, your child is this. He's going to have a problem fitting into the mainstream. So don't panic. He's going to be a genius in the end, but, just give him a bit of slack here. There are all sorts of issues. Obviously, relationships are a big deal. Also people who wish to meet someone. I do a lot of work with clients on what's blocking that and what are the optimum times, which brings me to this idea about manifesting, whether we can manifest a relationship. And, manifesting has been around, for many, many years now. I've loved this idea of linking it with astrology, which is really the theme of my workshop with Mind, Body, Spirit. I think it's about being in alignment. I think manifesting has become a little bit secular. Recently I've noticed. And when it's secular, then it kind of is only in service to the ego. It's like, I want this. And I sort of laugh about it, really, because I say it's not like Amazon Prime, where you click your fingers and it's like, why isn't it here in 24 hours? What's happened with the delivery? Has someone stolen this from my doorstep? And they're like, no, actually, you've stolen it yourself because you're blocking it. So I do a lot of work with clients ongoing about trying to release things that are getting in the way of their alignment. Explain the difference, really, between perhaps what your soul's journey is, which is kind of learning how to overcome a challenge, and what what our human ego wishes to have arriving very quickly in our lives. So I think it's about, yes, are the stars aligned? I mean, there are also optimum times, of which there is this stunning alignment, which is coming up in literally very soon after we're recording this, the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction, which only happens every 14 years. And that's kind of like pressing the reset button for manifesting.
Wow.
So it's all very exciting. And if you look back to I think everyone can do this, no matter what sign you are, because these are these big cycles of time. They affect everybody. Just have a look at what's taken place in your life over the last 14 years, and the sort of themes of kind of like gains and losses, the snakes and ladders of life. What were we aiming for? What did we learn from that experience? And then as this reset comes, it's fantastic, because we can literally plant the seeds in the month of April and beyond going forward. It's not possible to miss the boat on this one. It's a planting time, and we will see all sorts of new energies coming into our lives, and we can reset and also kind of, move on from those things that have blocked us as well. So I think this is an extraordinary time, and it's exciting that I'll be doing the workshop just literally a few weeks after that Jupiter Uranus conjunction. So it'd be interesting to really talk to people about that and work with them on it.
What's the time frame?
But of course, as I said, the planet's constantly in motion. Lots of other exciting energies are due to stream through over the course of 2024. I mean, 2024 is an interesting year because it's kind of like a bridge year between two great big cycles of time. 20 is going to usher in completely new energies as Saturn and Uranus and Neptune are changing signs, the slower moving planets. And that really alters the setup globally. It alters the kind of vibe on the street, as it were. So I think it'll be interesting to see what's happening in the next couple of years. Yeah.
Oh, crikey. Well, it will be now that I know that. When's the Pluto Uranus situation happening? Did you say middle of April? Is it now?
Jupiter Uranus, yeah. It's well,
Jupiter,
in the United States, it's the 20th. Yeah, Jupiter Uranus conjunction. So in the US, it's the 20th. For the UK, it's the 21st. Because you have to look at the exact timing of things. But I mean, that would be a great day to just get in touch with your intentions, and whether you're going to go all out and do a vision board, whether you're just going to put in a little affirmation or a visualization. It's good to just get clear. And I think, that's part of all of this, isn't it? Getting clear on what we would like and how we see the next stage of our lives. And instead of just thinking that life just happens to us, a lot of it is created by our own thoughts. So what are we thinking about? Because we're kind of doing a bit of script writing when we're thinking.
Yeah.
So,
which is good in some ways,
we're bringing it in, calling
not
it
so
in.
great if you're not in charge of your thoughts.
Yes. Yeah. So it's good to be mindful. Try to be mindful. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. Are we back? We just totally lost each other then, but we're back.
Yeah, we're back.
Sorry.
Yeah.
This is a dodgy connection, but that is life, isn't it? Sometimes we are connected and sometimes we are not.
And it's Mercury retrograde, Rachel. So what do we expect?
That's it. Let's blame everything on that. I love doing that, taking no responsibility at all for myself. Blame it on that. Brilliant. I love a bit of bypassing. Cool.
Yeah.
Would you mind talking us through what our sun, moon and rising signs mean? And I think at this point we end up talking a little bit about when I was born and stuff, because I think I gave you my birth details, didn't I?
Yeah.
So, would you mind doing that, please?
Yes, it's literally, here's one I did earlier. I have got your chart on me about my person, Rachel. It's in the building. That's what it looks like.
Oh, crikey.
So, yeah, the sun sign, nearly everybody knows their sun sign, of course. You're a Libra.
Mm-hmm.
Your moon sign is Capricorn. Your rising sign is Gemini. So the sun sign is really your basic core essential self. It's literally who you came here to be, the title of my book. It is something that you're, naturally able to bring to the world. And, this is the lens or the filter through which you operate, perceive your reality, all of that. So as a Libra for you, it is very much about trying to find balance. And I think a lot of Librans kind of go, well, I don't really feel very balanced. And by that, they don't mean that we're going to sort of carry you off on a stretcher. But, it's just like you're a bit up and down because the scales are going like this. And that's it. It's you're trying to find the balance. It's not that you're incarnated, completely balanced and totally cool about everything.
No.
I've noticed that Libras have such a big deal about what's fair in life. That's
right.
One thing you really can't stand, when people act unfairly. We may be talking about human rights, but just in everyday exchanges with people, someone who's unfair, that really is the bugbear of those born under the sign of the scales. And Libra, of course, is the kind of diplomat of the cosmos, sort of often smoothing things over, very personable. And alongside that can be a bit of a need to be liked and a bit of a people pleaser that eventually you need to get out of in order to become your true core self. Because
Done.
I've noticed a lot with my Libran clients, they tend to get sometimes lost in relationship because they're so good at understanding what the other person wants. They lose sight of what's really important for them, their own
Mm,
needs. So that's something. And it's about the give and the take. So the taking bit is what Libra sometimes forgets, that you've got to also have something in it for you.
hmm
Um, when I look at your particular chart, it's interesting to see that the planet Jupiter and the planet Saturn are really close to your sun. So it's a bit like, there they are on either arm. There's the sun, Jupiter and Saturn. Jupiter and Saturn are a bit like opposing forces, glass half full, glass half empty. So that adds to that Libran sense. So which way should I look at this? Am I really lucky and blessed? Shall I go all out for everything and, throw caution to the wind? Or being miscareful here with the Sun conjunct Saturn, I've got to put in 110% to everything. You've got to work very, very hard. In other words, are you an optimist or a cynic? So you're a bit balancing between those two things, I would say. The moon in Capricorn is also the hard worker, someone who, literally wants to be self-reliant in a way, because you feel as if that's how you measure what you deserve in life, is that you know that you've made all this effort and you've done all this. And then when you get the reward, it's really worth it. So you're not really an instant gratification person. It doesn't mean as much to you. And then
hmm
you've got Gemini rising, which a lot of people in media or in communications of any kind, the Gemini is just so helpful because it's just that natural flow with communicating. And what's so fantastic about you, Rachel, I was so thrilled when I looked at your chart and could see this Gemini rising, because what I can say to you is that Jupiter, when it moves into Gemini, is then going to pass over your ascendant. You're going to have this Jupiter on your ascendant feeling when all things just feel fabulous. So that's this summer.
Oh, thank goodness.
So because I know, isn't that great? It's,
That is
it's
such
kind of
good
like
news,
something
Debbie.
definitely to
Thank
be
you.
celebrated. Very life enhancing. So yeah, I hope that helps.
That does help. And
Yeah.
I'm glad about the Capricorn business because that makes a lot of sense as well. Something's got to ground me into,
Yes, because yeah, it is grounding. Yeah, and just to explain a bit more about the difference between the sun and the moon sign. So the sun is who you are in your core essence, and the moon is kind of who you are when no one's looking. It's like who you are at home. It's
Mm.
kind of like your comfort zone. And so I often say, for people in relationships, take a look at that moon sign, because it's all very well going out on a date and being out there in the world with someone, but then when you get them home, they're going to be in their moon sign. So unless the moon signs are compatible, you might have a problem, Houston. So I mean, you've actually got to sort of take that into consideration. And the moon is what you really need in order to feel secure and stable. And you crave stability with the moon in Capricorn. You
hmm
want to have that grounded, strong energy that's kind of bottom line, non-negotiable in your life. And then the ascendant is how we are when we kind of meet the world, because that's the sign that's rising. It's why it's called a rising sign. It's the sign that's rising at the moment of our birth. And so therefore it's kind of how we interact at the first meeting, whether we're like this when we walk into a room and we're in a business meeting, we go to a party, it's people immediately pick up this rising sign. So for you, it's Gemini. So you're all about this connecting, communicating people person. But when all is said and done, if they really knew you and got invited to your house, they'd see your moon in Capricorn,
Mm.
and that you'd be much more steady and maybe a bit quieter. Yeah.
Quiet, organized, and yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Practical. Mm.
Great. Thank you. That is brilliant. Thank you ever so much for taking the time to do that and explain it. That was a really succinct and tangible explanation, because sometimes it does get a bit jargonified, doesn't it? And a bit esoteric. So
Yeah.
that's really awesome. Thank you. Next question. If we talk about mind, body, and spirit, is astrology a mind or a spirit topic? I also think I'm going to ask, is it also body, because we're made of the planets, aren't we? And which one
We
would you
are indeed.
say?
Well, it's a bit like saying, you know, if I had to run this festival and just pick one of those,
Mm,
the rest of the very important parts of that festival would be lost. And astrology is inherently made up of mind, body, and spirit. It has to be all three. The mind, obviously, we can look at the planet Mercury. That tells us how we think and how we conceptualize our reality, really. And the body is often the moon, and how we experience things in our body, things like our gut instincts. And the spirit, of course, is the sun, and it's also some of these transpersonal planets, Neptune, which is divine connection, alternate parallel realities, which you could look at astrology as being one of those.
hmm
How we can transcend this mundane world, get out of body and transcend and connect with something greater than ourselves. And that's the spiritual aspect of astrology. I mean, for me, I feel astrology is actually a healing tool. So, I mean, I do like to talk in ordinary terms to my clients, as you say, because, it has to be understandable and translatable.
Yeah.
They have to be able to connect with it. But on the other hand, I don't just want to deliver a list. And I say this to my clients, I'm not giving you a list of what's going to happen. This isn't really how I work.
Mm,
I can give you a list of the cycles, but I want to talk you through them. I want to see how can we get some insight into what's going on for you and how might that help you? And also how can we heal maybe some elements of your past by going back in time and seeing, okay, what was your transit? What was your cycle at that time? For instance, you might have had Pluto on your moon and had a bit of a rough time and you continually thought of it as just being so difficult. But actually let's go back and see that Pluto was kind of purging away some elements of your life and your nature that you needed to transform, and that out of that you've been able to rise like Phoenix from the ashes. So I'm quite big on kind of reframing the past and trying to extrapolate the meaning and the good takeaways that we have from some of our even more difficult experiences. As we say, we often don't learn anything when everything's all hunky dory and great. We don't really think. When it's
no.
difficult, that's when we have to dig a bit deeper, and that's when the lessons come, and we get something really valuable, and we're able to make that big leap.
Great, because when I'm glad that I'm having a nice smooth summer, though. Thank you very much, because I've had enough shit hit the fan. So I'm glad that I've learnt those lessons. Thank you for confirming. That's what I'm reading into this. And now it's plain sailing for the summer at least. So good news from Debbie. Dear, how is astrology linked to successful or efficient manifestation? Or talk about some of this at the workshop at Mind Body Spirit Festival on Friday the 24th of May. And what else will the workshop give us?
Well, I wish I could kind of magic up white rabbits out of hats to actually manifest something on stage, but that's not what I'm going to be doing.
I'm glad you can't.
What I'm going to be doing, hopefully, is planting seeds so that everybody attending the workshop will be able to kind of get to make their own magic. That's really what it is. I'm going to be talking about the cycles. There are some specific times, and that's what I mean. It's not just about putting in any old order at any old time, but sort of aligning with the optimum time, and also understanding your own astrological blueprint. And for all attendees of the workshop, they'll be given their chart, so that we'll be talking about their blueprints and how do they manifest and what's their best technique in a way. I think a lot of what I've noticed with my clients is that they talk a lot about things that they want to manifest, and yet they then say to me, perhaps that they've got, tremendous mental health issues in terms of anxiety, and then I say to them, have you ever thought about trying to manifest peace? And then they say, I've never thought, never occurred to me, never thought. And you said, actually, that would be the basis of everything, because if they could learn to manifest peace, then all is well.
Yeah.
So again, I think that's what I'm going to be looking at in the workshop about, what lies underneath this desire to have what you want. even yesterday I had a client and they were sort of saying, oh, I want to be rich and famous. And it was sort of a whole discussion about, well, how do you think you would feel if you were rich and famous? What is it you're really looking for? And what other ways could we get that quality into your life?
Yeah.
And talking about the difference between the ego and the soul again, because even if you are rich and famous, let's say you get your super yacht, there's always someone else who's got a bigger one. And then the ego
Yep.
saying, I want that one,
And then you've got to pay for the yacht. You've got to pay for the
kind of
staff and the
taking things a
fuel.
little bit deeper, and also looking at the right timing. The Buddhists talk a lot about, right timing, right action, all of this. And I think astrologically, of course, we've got all of that insight into what is the optimum time to be doing things. So I'll be helping people with that too.
That's amazing. Great. Oh, when is it again? I've got to tell everyone so that they all know when to come. Friday the 24th of May, and everyone can go and get their tickets at mindbodyspiritfestival.co.uk/London, and you can go and have a look at the workshops and find.
So looking forward to it.
Yeah, amazing. And it's actually called Astrology for Manifesting Your Destiny. Absolutely brilliant title, isn't it?
Yes, thank you.
Oh, brilliant.
Doesn't everyone want to do that?
Yeah, it's literally like, who does this apply to? 100%.
Yeah, really.
So what are you being asked most about right now? Things like Saturn returns or Mercury retrograde or the solar eclipse, things like that. What is the most sort of popular question at the moment?
Yeah. Well, people have latched on to the eclipses. There's been so much written about it because it's just been this total solar eclipse at the beginning of this week when we're recording on the 8th of April. And, I think people are experiencing some kind of energy shift. So a lot of my clients have been asking me about that. They do ask about Mercury retrograde, but we all know that happens 3 times a year. And it's really just a little bit of cosmic weather. But, it's not really such a big deal. Having said that, I've just been sent a photograph of my friend who parked their car and then sent me another photograph saying, oh, my car's gone for a swim because the tide rose. The car is now in the middle of the river, and it's like, never park your car here under Mercury retrograde. But that is a rarity, obviously.
Yeah, pretty rare.
Yes. So, there's, pretty rare. People, obviously, they're asking about Kate Middleton and Princess of Wales. They're asking about, what's going on in the world. During COVID, there was, it was really interesting, the kind of transformation in terms of, who wanted to know about astrology. I was doing a lot of talks for corporates and Zoom talks about, what is this COVID? And there was the COVID lineup in astrology, which was very rare. I could see it coming years before. I didn't know exactly what it was, but I knew that there was going to be a lot of fear and it would affect everybody globally. And there was sort of, digging deep into what that really means. So, that was then, but now we're looking at Mars retrograde coming up towards the end of the year, just after the election, the US election, maybe also our election. And, that's going to be a big slowdown that lasts into the early part of 2025. So we're all looking at that. And again, thinking, well, what's that going to be? Hopefully not another lockdown, because Mars retrograde has coincided with lockdowns. So hopefully not. What else could it be? Is it a kind of recession, a go slow of some sort? Anyway, so we're looking at that, trying to figure it out.
When is that from?
But people are always just, that's it goes retrograde in December. It starts to slow down in November, straight after the election. I mean, who knows? Maybe whoever wins the US election, there's going to be some civil unrest, and there might have to be some other kinds of lockdowns. I don't know, but I mean, I'm just sort of aware of that coming up as one of the next big things, and I'm saying to all my clients, make hay whilst the sun shines, because you've got the Jupiter Uranus and we've got a lot of really sort of fast paced energy. And then it's going to slow down. So if you want to do something in your life, get on and do it before we get to the end of the year,
Okay.
Because otherwise you have to wait until the spring of 2025. Yeah.
Right.
It's not a disaster, darling. Not saying
Yes,
that,
ma'am.
but just, it's a change of pace. So yeah, yeah.
Excellent. Why do you think people are more intrigued by their birth charts in recent years? And where do you see this topic going in the future? Do you see it going even more mainstream?
Yeah, I mean, I can't tell you, having been in it for so long, how different it is. When I first started, I was considered to be like somebody who was, interested in something seriously odd. And people would say, "Oh, you don't believe in it, do you?" And I'm like, "Are you accusing me of being a fraud? I wouldn't do something that I didn't believe in." But it's become exponentially more mainstream. I think with the advent of the iPhone, I honestly think that that was a turning point because it was this sense that, our reality could be elsewhere, in our phone, kind of actually made us engage with things that weren't part of the six senses that our old reality was. If you think how fast paced everything has become with the iPhone. Um, so I think that's kind of been helpful. And then the millennial generation and the Gen Z generation, they're just all over astrology because they're born with a different frequency. They were born when Uranus and Neptune were very close together, the millennials. And so basically their value system is totally different from preceding generations. And it's not difficult for them to get it. I mean, trying to talk to baby boomers, which is my generation, about it. I mean, obviously there are some, but it's actually there's a lot of resistance to the idea of it's something that you can't actually see or prove. Whereas
Yeah.
for millennials and Gen Z, that's not an issue at all. Because they have a different awareness, thank goodness. So I see it sort of ever expanding, really.
Amazing. Yeah, it's definitely changed. Even, I'm 42. I don't know what generation that is, but when I speak to someone who's like 25 to 29, 30, they don't bat an eyelid. But when I was at school, if I talked about it, because I'm from quite a
No,
sort of hippie, open-minded family, and we had our charts done when we were little. Our mum had them done, and everyone at school was like, "What are you even talking about? Are you all mental?" You know.
yeah, yeah. I know.
But we're
Well, you
not.
had the last laugh. No, we just have different perception. No, just disconnected there.
Yeah, you're back. Okay,
Yeah.
so it's all right. This can all be put back together, Debbie. It's
Okay, you
all
can
right.
edit out the bumps, hopefully.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okie
exactly.
dokie.
It's all part of the journey, isn't it? These little bumps in the road.
Oh, yes.
I actually think the connection's a better time now. No, still a delay.
Not good. Well, we're
No,
managing, aren't we? We can
we
still do
are.
it, even though
Yeah,
we're not giving up.
we will not.
Moon in Capricorn. No.
What advice would you give to individuals who are interested in developing their astrology skills in general, other than coming to a show like Mind Body Spirit?
Well, I think it's really valuable to sort of learn from lots of different sources. I mean, obviously, there are so many workshops online. And in fact, I've got a great series of videos out with Hay House at the moment called,
Hmm.
it's under the Heal Your Life series. And that goes into the planets. It's a big 30 to 40-minute video on each planet. So I'm going into it in depth. So I think, when you find a teacher you like, I remember learning and, there were some people, and literally there were people that spoke and people that spoke to me. And it was sort of like, wow, that really joins up all the dots. But I do feel it's not really something you can learn just like that. It sort of deepens and deepens. Astrology has so many layers. We can know the basics, but to really start putting together the stories. I talk a lot about the stories of our lives and the stories that the planets tell and in relation to each other in our charts. It's these themes. These are the things that are really interesting. The themes of our life that is in there in the chart in seed form. And as the stories unfold, they're sort of triggered by the catalyst of the transits to our chart. So I think, it's something, if it grabs you, astrology, of course, it's very easy to learn the basics. We can, just keep learning and, just start practicing. It's so easy to get free charts downloaded now from somewhere like astro.com. And start having a look with your friends. I mean, that's, some of the people I practiced on when I was first learning, does this resonate with you? Can you, and it's like, wow, that then you really get to see how it works in real life. And that's really important, I think.
It is, definitely. Amazing. Who would you say needs to come to your workshop? We've already covered this a little bit, but some people might say, well, I've never heard anything about astrology before, or someone might say, well, actually, I've been looking at this for about 2 years. So who, or longer, who would you say this is open to, and what are you looking forward to the most about coming to the festival and doing a workshop?
Well, as far as who should come, I mean, I'm not going to be, kind of talking in terms that someone who doesn't know any astrology would not understand what I'm talking about. This is for everybody. It will be very easily understandable. But I think, as I mentioned, I think earlier in our conversation, I think manifesting has gone a bit secular. So I'm going to be kind of putting the sort of spiritual / celestial dimension back into manifesting. In other words, aligning with the universe and, helping people to understand that's an important part of the process, not just writing out a list. So I'm going to be doing all of that. And so I really think anybody who wants to understand more about themselves, more about their patterns, more about, how to get in flow with themselves and the universe so that things flow to them and from them as well. Because often we are, it's what we forget is that we can manifest things for other people. Like we are the catalyst, we're the trigger, we can say something to someone else and that's the aha moment. So it's a two-way process, it's a flow, and which I think is really exciting. I mean, I am going to be so excited to be there and to actually meet people, because these days I'm so excited to meet people in real life apart from on Zoom, and to be able to spend some time with them and really working through things and engaging with them. And also the Mind, Body, Spirit Festival is just such a gorgeous place to be, with so many amazing things going on and such a gathering of all of these, wisdom tellers and seekers. I mean, what a place. So very much looking forward.
I'm so glad that you're going to be there and that you're looking forward to it so much. And with such an epic workshop title as Astrology for Manifesting Your Destiny. It is brilliant. And just to remind everyone, that is on Friday, the 24th of May at 10po.uk/London with Debbie Frank. So I think that's, we've talked ourselves to the end, my darling.
Well, we did well, all things considered, under difficult circumstances.
There is a delay, but we've managed to communicate.
Conversation.
Yeah.
We have.
Great. Just shows that if you have the intention, you can always overcome things with communication.
It's about the intention to communicate. We did it.
Nailed it. Brilliant. Thank you so much. You're an absolute beauty. Thank you for your time and your energy and your knowledge.
Thank you, Rachel. So lovely to meet you.
And I'll see you in real life.
It's lovely to be
at Mind, Body, Spirit Festival. Yes,
definitely. And look forward to seeing people at my workshop too. Those that sign up, I'm really excited to meet you and work with you.
I'm making little hearts happen on the screen at you.
Oh,
look,
I love that.
It's cool, isn't it?
Fabulous. Thank you. Oh, wow. Great. Look what it did.
I know. Oh, we do it again. It's super cool.
Thank you, Rachel.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Mwah, thank you.
Oh, wow.
That is so cool.
Fabulous. Isn't that great? Made my day. Thank you so much.
Take care. Lots of love. Bye-bye.
Take care. Lots of love to you. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Mind, Body, Spirit Festival podcast. We would love to connect with you in real person at one of our epic events. Go to mindbodyspiritfestival.co.uk for tickets and information. I will see you there. Don't forget, you can also follow us on Instagram, MBS Wellbeing, for behind the scenes content, updates and offers. Stay cosmic, you beautiful soul.